Surya, as an advisor, when you go out there and pick an FMP for an investor, because there are so many schemes, there are thousands of schemes out there. So what is it that, and sometimes investors, in fact all the time, investors tend to chase returns, right? So you'll see a particular FMP scheme, the brochure saying, I'm giving you a much higher return than another FMP scheme, so you tend to just go there. Not realizing that probably the quality may be different or this kind of a potential issue could come up later on. So how do you, or what are the 2 or 3 things that an investor should keep in mind when you're selecting an FMP?
I think one very basic simple thing you have to take in mind, Vivek, is the subject that you are able to lock in the money for 3 years. That's a prerequisite for doing an FMP. The quality of the papers which you buy is something which you have to really go for. Don't look at returns. That's secondary by nature. But we always tell all the investors, and for all our listeners also, the basic cue is look at the quality of the portfolio. FMP, just prefer a 100% AAA portfolio. And it's not about this happening now. We have been just saying this for the last few years, many years actually now. And we do find instances where investors come back and tell us that, oh, okay, while they don't talk about a AAA, they say, okay, AAA is good. No one counters on that. But they say the returns are just lower than what the other FMPs are offering. And that's the price you have to pay for buying a AAA vis-a-vis a combination of a AA and a single A or even a lower quality portfolio. So again, probability that AA will not pay, there will be a default is low. But in case it happens, then you are just protecting or ring fencing your risk attached to it. At the same time, it does not mean that AAA cannot collapse. A classic example is ILFS. So something of that can again happen. But you can just ensure, try to ensure that you are getting a good quality portfolio. The probability of any default or delay is actually very low.
But in the recent crisis, did you see most of these papers which have had to roll over or have problems in paying, the full amount back, they didn't have only AAA?
So you had a combination. As I just said to you, that ILFS was a AAA classic example when I think many of the fund houses have exposure. You name it, they have it. Exposure to ILFS, and you cannot even blame them. So fund house who was selling like propagating like 100% AAA quality portfolio had that. So now they are helpless. So you can't blame them, okay? Some diligence was required further at their end, but you can't fully blame them. There comes the role of the credit rating agencies, whom I'm believing, I'm paying, I'm trusting. So a combination of various agencies needs to come and say, what's wrong we have done, how we can improve it further. Look at the example of the SL. Now the promoters have over leveraged their holdings of shares of the company. Now when the prices fell because of the market correction and you had to take an extra margin, there was no security which they could offer to the fund houses. That's how the problem started. And fairly so, the fund houses formed a consortium to make sure that they have an option to delay it by the next 6 months. And I really see that that was one of the more prudent way to look at it. People can say whatever they can. I understand that fully. But in that given situation, if you are in, while you could have improved earlier, but if you are now in this situation, what best you could have done, I think that was a good strategy for them.